Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you part 2 of my eyeshadow palette declutter. We are moving on now to the drugstore drawer. Last week we went over my high-end one. Oh man, it looks so pretty in here now. Hold on, let me zoom you out a little bit. You're a little bit close. There we go. Got rid of 30 palettes, which I think is a huge win. I started with 66, so definitely a great improvement. And now we are going to be tackling my drugstore drawer. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to remove all the palettes. We'll count them, see how many I got, and start going through them. So let's start with removing them. Alright, drawer is empty and nice and clean now. I got some stains that just won't go away, but we'll ignore those. I have a grand total of 48 drugstore eyeshadow palettes. Definitely a decent amount of palettes there. So let's begin. Eyeshadow palettes, here we go. Oh, where should I start? Oh, okay. Alright, so first palette up on the chopping block here, I got the BH Cosmetics Natural Eyes 28 color eyeshadow palette. This was, I believe, a TJ Maxx and Marshalls purchase. And honestly, I was pretty disappointed by the formula inside of this one. I think this is a much older palette from BH Cosmetics. And I think you can definitely tell by the formulation of this palette here because I have the BH Daisy Marquez palette. Oh man, why was that in the bottom drawer? Whoopsie. That was in the previous video. But I have that one and I think the shadow quality is immensely better in that palette than this one. So I think this one is gonna go. It's a palette I definitely do not reach for. So she's being decluttered. And then I have another palette that I'm finally gonna part ways with. Oh, careful here. It's split in two. It doesn't even hold together anymore. I don't even remember the name of this one, but this was my very first large palette that I actually got my mom to purchase for me back in high school when I told her I first wanted to create a makeup YouTube channel. I asked her to get this for me along with a blush palette, and I was gonna start doing tutorials, and I never actually did it because I had very low self-esteem during that time. Absolutely no confidence, and it's one of the things that I always look back at and kind of like regret because I knew I wanted to do it really bad and that's what held me back from it. So, you know, memories with that, but I think I need to part ways with her. I definitely do not use this eyeshadow palette anymore. I've just really been holding on to it because of those memories. And it's pretty cool to look back on it now and just be like, you know what? I actually did it. It feels really good. So I think I can part ways with her now. So that's 2 in the clutter pile, doing good. Then I got 2 palettes here by Maybelline. I have the Maybelline Lemonade Craze, and then I also have the Maybelline Soda Pop palette. These are actually really nice palettes. They really took me by surprise. I actually like them both quite a lot, so I think I'm gonna hold on to both of these because these are definitely like a summer and spring type of palette, and I've definitely been wanting to do some more looks and tutorials and things, so I think I will have to hold on to these ones because these will come in handy when those come around. Oh, which let's roll into one of my largest collections here from any one brand. This is my Wet n Wild stash. Let's start with this guy. So this is their natural palette. This one I believe they don't even make anymore. I believe they discontinued this one because it was on sale at every single store and I can't see it on their website anymore. So I think this is definitely discontinued, which I think ended up being a really good thing because, I mean, it wasn't a bad palette, but it definitely wasn't one of my favorites. I felt like the formula could be improved on, and I think they definitely did that with their newer palettes. So I'm definitely happy that they ended up retiring this one because the new ones they're putting out are way better. Which that one was definitely replaced by these palettes here. These are all of the more newer ones. I mean, they're definitely not the newest now, but they were newer a few months ago. So let's see. I got 4 of them when they first released. This is the Not a Basic Peach. Looking like that on the inside. I'm trying my best to make sure the camera stays focused. Then I got the Cosmic Collision. Is that what it was called? Yeah, Cosmic Collision. Third, I have the VI Purple. And then fourth of this particular style of palettes is the new Glamour Squad. Oh no, not new, My Glamour Squad, which looks like that in there. I think this one they said was supposed to be a dupe for a ABH palette. I think it was a Soft Glam or something like that. This one actually was personally my favorite, along with the Not My Basic Peach. I definitely used Not My Basic Peach quite a bit, as you can tell by how dirty that front lid is. So I can always tell. These two are definitely my favorite out of the 4. The other 2 were really good too, but these were definitely my top picks. All of these 4 I am definitely gonna be hanging on to because I think they are really good quality. I mean, they're like $4.99 a palette and I like to use them. So they are staying put in this collection. And then that leads me to 2 older palettes again. These ones I believe are discontinued as well. This was the Comfort Zone palette. This one definitely had some cool shades inside of it. These were all shimmers. And then the Poster Child palette right here. And I think I'm definitely gonna say goodbye to these 2 palettes today because I think they definitely upped their game since these 2 palettes and that other one that I decluttered. These newer palettes are really good in my opinion and so much more worth it than the older ones. I'm gonna say goodbye to them. And then lastly, I have one lonely little Crystal Cavern eyeshadow palette. This is the Rose Quartz palette. Looks like that came with 3 shimmer shades inside of it. And although the quality of the shadows aren't bad, I just really don't reach for this one. It's a teeny tiny little shimmer palette. Honestly, I have a lot of difficulty reaching for shimmery palettes because I always forget about them until I've already done my makeup. So I think I'll declutter this one today. Just because I know myself, I know I'm not really gonna reach for this one all that much. I'd say I'm not doing so bad so far. I've kept 6 and I've gotten rid of 6. Oh, even split right now. Oh man. Then we got this palette. This is RK by Kiss. It is the Break of Dawn palette. I found this randomly at the drugstore. Wanted to give it a shot. I actually tried a lot from this line and oh boy, 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 boy. This palette was not it. The colors in here look nothing like what they do on the lid. The blendability is not there. The shadows just blend into nothing basically, and I feel like a lot of the shades, although they look like purples and browns in the palette, they come off really gray once it's on the lid. So this palette I was just not a fan of. This one is definitely gonna be decluttered. Can't believe I still had that one. Then let's grab a little NYX here, huh? Oh man, before I grab the NYX, I forgot about one palette. So this was the Wet n Wild palette. I completely forgot to grab it when I grabbed the rest of them. This is their Pump Full Circuit palette. It came with color correctors, cream blushes, 3 eyeshadows, a little bit of a shimmery bronzer, a blush, and a highlight. It was supposed to be the all-in-one palette on the go. You were supposed to take it with you to the gym, do a little touch-up afterwards. And yeah, I mean, I was not really a big fan of it. I mean, the quality of Wet n Wild eyeshadows I do think is really good. I had no complaints there, but I think the color selection that they decided to choose for this one just, I don't know, it didn't really make much sense for me. Like, you got this cool tone gray and this cool tone purple with this gold and the color correctors, and yeah, I don't know. For me, it just didn't flow. It's not something that I look at and I'm like, yes, I gotta grab this palette with me today. I honestly have not used it much since, so I think I'll declutter this one as well. Then let's move on to my NYX collection here. Got quite a few by NYX. Let's start with the Ipsy and NYX This is definitely an old one. I got this one the first time around when I tried the Ipsy small bag that I had canceled for like 2 years. I've had it now for maybe 6 months or something like that. So, you know, I've had this one for a while. I did really enjoy it at the time because I didn't really have that much makeup back then. So I think it served its purpose, but I think it's time to move on from this one. I've got bigger, better palettes nowadays. Oh man, the NYX Ultimate. This is the Brights palette. Holy moly, is it dirty. Oh, and I can't break into it. Got shadow everywhere. Hold on, let me clean this up. There we go, looking a little bit cleaner there, so. This palette, oh my gosh, I have loved it so much. I had it back in the beginning when I started my channel, doing all my crazy fun makeup looks. I really enjoy this palette, so I'm definitely gonna hang on to this one. Then I have this guy. This is the Golden Horizons palette. It is their Baked Shadows. And I mean, personal preference, I'm just not the biggest fan of baked shadows. They are usually really light in the color that you get off on the lid. So kind of what you see in the pan is not really what you get in my opinion. So I definitely think that this palette is not up to the standards that I hold next to with some of my other palettes. This one is gonna be decluttered. I'm gonna have to start being adventurous with the way I say decluttered since I'm gonna say it so much. Oh. Because I have some really good ones back here. These are a little bit older, but I mean, I think I can still hang on to these. This is the NYX Earth palette, and then I had the Fire palette. I believe I Love Sarai was the Fire palette face. That's one of the reasons I got this one. I think she was, because she created like a really fun, I think it was a Hot Cheetos look she called it. Flamin' Hot Cheetos look, I don't know. At least I think so. I know she's done a look titled that. I think she used this palette. But my goodness, like this is the standard of NYX eyeshadow palettes, in my opinion. I think they were so good. The color schemes were on point. They were really adventurous with these palettes, and I think it definitely paid off for them because I loved these palettes. I think they were just as good as high-end. So definitely gonna hang on to those ones because they are mwah, the bomb. Maybe it's time to check out what NYX is up to. I definitely haven't checked out any of their new stuff in a while. Which brings me to my very last palette by NYX. This is their Bohemian Chic palette. You got the little top there and you got the little slide out part. This again is supposed to be like one of those all-in-one combos. So you got your eyeshadows and you got some blushes down there so you could do some really fun adventurous looks here. And I think this one was definitely older than the Fire and the Earth palette. So in my opinion, I just feel like the shadow quality in this one is not as good as the Fire and Earth one. They've definitely improved on it since then, so I think this one should be passed along just because I don't really reach for it much, and if I do, I'm gonna reach for the other guys. Oh man, and then we got ourselves a little bit of an easier declutter here. This is the LA Colors Nude Eyeshadow Palette. Hold on, this one always gives me a hard time getting into. I got this palette at the Dollar Tree back when I did a full face of Dollar Tree makeup. I definitely want to do an updated one. That video is like a year old or something like that, so I want to try that again. But I will definitely not be picking the LA Colors eyeshadow palette because oh my goodness, just it doesn't work. I'm sorry, but the shadows just do not work. There's basically no color that you are able to pick up onto the brush. So yeah, she's gonna be going. I mean, you can't expect too much from a dollar eyeshadow palette, but yeah. Oh my goodness, of course I did forget about one Wet n Wild eyeshadow palette. That is the 32 pan eyeshadow palette, the color Icon. This was for their holiday collection this year. I bought it with the idea that I was gonna do a first impressions on it during winter time, and I ended up kind of prioritizing the other videos that I had going on at that time, so this one ended up getting pushed aside. And I mean, after I started really looking at it, I realized that this palette looked almost identical to their little mini palettes here. Like, let me see if I can show you. Like, do you guys see that, or am I crazy? It looks like they put a lot of the same colors inside of this palette and then maybe switched it up with a couple different ones. So I don't know, I just feel like it's a little bit unnecessary with the 4 mini palettes that I'm gonna be keeping here. I know it's new, and I usually like to keep the newer ones just to keep playing around with them, but I just feel like I have this palette almost in the other 4 mini palettes, so I'm gonna give this one away. I think it'll be a really fun one for someone to actually get. Oh my goodness, I keep accidentally dipping my fingers into the eyeshadows when I'm holding them here. I'm getting eyeshadow all over my hands. Oh, then I have a good little palette here. This is by Koki Cosmetics. It's their Act Neutral palette, not natural, neutral. This was a really surprising palette because I ended up really enjoying it. I picked it up on a whim to do a drugstore video on it, first impressions, and ended up falling in love with it. I think it had some really good quality shadows inside of there, and it made me really want to try more Koki, which I really need to go back and get more of them because I'm excited to try out their line because I think it was actually a very enjoyable palette. Let's pick up my Milani collection here. So I got 3 of them. I have the Plum Basics, looks like that. Then I have the, what were you called? So I threw out the outer carton of these ones that had the names on them. I think it was Noir Gilded? I may be totally wrong on that, so we'll just call this one the black palette, the other one the red one. So this is what the black palette has inside of it. And then here is the red palette. And oh goodness. Goodness gravy. Let's start with this guy. So the Plum Basics. I think the palette itself was good, but the colors in here is just not something that I honestly reach for all that often. I've done a look a couple of times using this palette, but you know, I reach around this palette. So I think this one is gonna be decluttered along with either one or both of these guys. Because these ones, I'll let you guys know how I felt about these. I did a review on these when they first dropped. Tested them out for a while, then I reviewed them. And I mean, I just had quite a bit of issues with them. The black palette over here, the shimmery shades had no issue with, the lighter matte shades no issue, but I had issues with the darker matte shades down here. The brown and the black were a little bit patchy. The red palette over here, I was not a fan of the glittery shades. I try to use them with all different kinds of glitter glues, and just whatever they're sitting in, it does not want to stick to the lid. The darker matte shades, again, I had some blending, some patchy issues with, and then one of the shimmer shades right up here, that guy, does not actually come off on the lid. So I definitely had a, whoa, something fell up there. Scared me. Oh gosh. Anyways, yeah, so I definitely had a lot more issues with this palette than the other one, so I think I'll definitely part ways with this one. As far as this one goes though, I mean, I just don't like these two down here. Maybe I'll hang on to this one so I could use the shimmery shades. Oh my god, the name's on the top here. Whoops! Okay, so they're both gilded. Or remember, I got roasted because I couldn't say the names, as with anything else I pronounced, so here's the names of them. But yeah, so I think I'll hold on to this one just because I might want to use some of these shimmery shades, and I think I'll have to keep testing out the Milani shadows. So I'll hang on to that one for now. Then let's talk about some ColourPop here. Nope. Covergirl, my bad. ColourPop was in the previous video. This is the True Naked Roses palette. This one I believe is also, I don't think it's discontinued, but I believe they rebranded it, reformulated it, I think, because it looks like it's a different one when I try to search for this one online. So I'll have to check that one out if they did, but I hope they did because this one I just wasn't really the biggest fan of. The formula was a little bit chalky and the colors were just a little bit disappointing. They showed up very light on the eyes, like you really had to build it up in order to see a good amount of pigment, so just not the biggest fan of this one. And I got another palette here I'm gonna be parting ways with. This is the Joah Beauty eyeshadow palette in Unveiled. This is the case where it's just one of those palettes that I don't really reach for. I kind of reach around it because I have other palettes that I like the formula of just a little bit more. So I'm gonna say goodbye to this one. Oh, which, speaking of one that I want to keep, This one's actually still in the package. I bought this one not that long ago, and I haven't wanted to open it until it's time to use it, because, you know, I'm trying to preserve the shelf life here. This is the Wanderlust Flower Eyeshadow Palette. That green one is what sealed the deal for me. That's what made me want to try it, so she is a staying. I need to try her out very soon. Now I've got a little bit of the Makeup Revolution palettes. Get a few, a healthy amount, I would say. I have the, what are you called? I don't think this one has a name. This came inside of one of the advent calendars. They usually don't name those products. That's why it's a little bit of a mini size. But this is their mini matte palette. I have their Freedom palette. This is the 32 eyeshadow pan palette. Then I have the Reloaded palette, the Ultra Color Explosion palette, the Ultra Neutrals palette, the Ultra Metals palette. This is an all shimmer palette. The other one was the all matte palette. These are the exact same shades, but one's matte, one's metallic. And then lastly, I have the Reloaded Proactive palette, and this is actually my favorite of them all. So this one is gonna be staying put in the collection. It's got a lot of really fun colors in here. So many pinks, it's so fun. So by far my favorite. I also really enjoyed this guy over here. What were you called? Reloaded Authority. I think that one's a good one, so I was gonna keep that one. And then I was gonna pass along the Freedom palette. I don't know, I feel like sometimes the Makeup Revolution formulas are a little bit different. I do know they have technically like different brands within the brand that they sell. And this is, I think, one of them, because this says Freedom and not Makeup Revolution, but it was sold by Makeup Revolution. That's why I'm including it. So I think this one is definitely different quality than the other shadows that I'm keeping right over here. So I'm gonna part ways with this one. I'm also gonna part ways with this mini matte eyeshadow palette, just because I have other eyeshadow palettes with this matte collection and I don't really reach for it all that much. I'm definitely gonna hang on to this Ultra Colors palette because these are really cool colors in there and I enjoy them. And then that only leaves these two guys. So we got the neutrals and the metallics with the same exact colors, just different formula. One's all matte, one's all shimmer. Personal preference, you guys know this, I have such a hard time reaching for all shimmery palettes. I mean, I say that all the time. You guys must be tired of it. But I mean, it's the sad truth. And if I know it and I just have it in my collection, I'd rather pass it along to someone else who's gonna love it than to just have it sitting here just because I don't want to get rid of it because I use it occasionally. So I'll move this one along. And I mean, these shades are ones that I do have, I think, in other palettes. So I think it'll be fine. And then I guess I'll hang on to this one. This is a good neutral palette. Might as well keep it. Wow, I'm being really cutthroat here with my drugstore palettes. Oh, I almost forgot about this one. This one's also Makeup Revolution. This was a part of their spring, like Easter collection. It was supposed to be a dragon egg for that time. And honestly, I mean, I like the palette. I thought the colors in here were nice, but this egg though, like I did not realize how annoying it was gonna be to place this one because at first I didn't have these drawer systems and I was just keeping things in my desk and in like my bag. And this one is just so bulky and clunky. It got really annoying really fast. But I mean, now that I have it here in a drawer, it's not that bad, but I know for someone without these systems, it's definitely gotten annoying. I think I'll hang on to this one too, because I mean, I like it. It's a cute little egg. I use it a little bit here and there. I mean, maybe we'll revisit the egg next year when it's time for another declutter. Let's hang on her for now. I have two palettes by Melf. What in the world did I just say? Two palettes from Elf. No clue where my mind was at there. This is the Modern Metals palette. This was, I think, a YouTuber's collaboration or influencer's collaboration palette. And then I have the Opposites Attract palette. Ooh, And I actually really enjoyed the formula of this new eyeshadow palette by them. I think they seriously stepped up their game when it came to this one. I mean, that's the thing. The drugstore has been really stepping it up. So these older palettes now, you're just looking at them like, whoa. It's night and day. That's why I'm not keeping a lot of my older eyeshadow palettes, because I mean, a lot of them have improved quite a bit. So I'm gonna hang on to this one. And when it comes down to the modern metals, oh, this is a little bit of a tough one because I was a little bit disappointed with these shadows here on the end. The blue, the yellow gold, and the purple. They look more vibrant in the pan than what they do on the actual lid, so I was disappointed by those 3 shades. I mean, the other ones were really good. Nothing to complain about there, but I was just hoping that these colors were gonna have a little bit more of a punch than they actually did. So, oh gosh. Maybe I'll part ways with this one just because I was disappointed with those 3 shades. I mean, the other ones were good, but yeah, let's do it. Cutthroat. I actually have 2 collab palettes here from Catrice. I got the Catrice and the Fashion Freak palette. Whoop. Oh, I still have the little sleeve in this one. Nice surprise. So this was her collab palette, and then they also did one with Wesley Benjamin Carter. Here is that one. So here are both of the palettes. I thought the color scheme of these palettes were really, really fun, but you do have to build these shadows up quite a bit in order to actually get a lot of pigment onto the lid, which I mean, at first I was like, oh, okay, that's not too bad, but I mean, it gets a little bit annoying if you're trying to do something kind of quick and you just have to really build up those shades. So honestly, I haven't been reaching for them much because of that, because it just takes a lot of effort to build them up. I mean, once they're up, they are really beautiful, but I think it's just a lot of work to have to do for the 2 palettes. So I think I'll go ahead and part ways with both of these. Oh, then I had another e.l.f. one. This is completely new. It's still in the packaging. This is their Tantalizing Taupe palette. I think I got this one in a gift with purchase. I can't quite remember. I think that's what happened. So I'm gonna save this one inside the packaging and I'm gonna gift this one away. Oh, only 6 left, you guys. Almost made it through it. My drawer is looking a whole lot better in here. We got ourselves a bit of Profusion. Well, just this one palette, actually. This is the Mixed Metals palette. This one has some really pretty shimmery shades inside of here, like that light purple called Unicorn. That one's really nice. The issue that I had with this palette, though, was this black shade. I think it's very difficult to do a very true rich black shade, especially for the drugstore. It's usually very hit or miss. Most of the time it's honestly really a miss, and this was definitely one of those cases. It came off a lot more gray onto the lid, and it had no punch to it. It didn't give off any real good pigment, in my opinion. Took quite a bit to actually get it to build up. So I think I'll part ways with this one today as well, because I've also not really reached for that one. Oh, and then I got a real tough one here. So this is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. No, not Butter Bronzer. Oh my gosh. Where's my head at? Butter Eyeshadow Palette. This is the Tropical Days palette. It has some really pretty colors inside of here. I like the shadows, but where I got some issues with this palette is there is a ridiculous amount of fallout. So it prevents you from being able to do your eyeshadow last. Like it rains underneath your eyes. You have to go in with a makeup wipe underneath, because I mean, it's just a lot. And I mean, even if you tap off your brush, I don't know how it happens. So, I mean, that's my issues with this palette. I mean, other than that, it's really pretty. I think the shadows work out really well onto the lid. I had no blending errors, nothing like that. It's just a little bit of a finicky palette because you have to do eyes first. I think I'll keep it. You know, I have it, I know about it, and I like the shadows otherwise, so I'll hang on to it for a little bit longer. You know, I just might not repurchase that one, is what I'm trying to say. You know, I already got it. Then we got some Believe Beauty. This is a Dollar General exclusive brand. Oh gosh, so tricky to open. This is their Nearly Nude palette, and I actually really like this one. I felt like the shadow qualities were really good. The shimmery shades, ooh, felt like butter. I was definitely pleasantly surprised by this one because I think it was only like $5. I wasn't bad at all. I definitely hope they expand their eyeshadow palette range and then incorporate some more colors, because my only thing with this one is I wish they had a couple more matte shades inside of here. But other than that, I did really enjoy this palette, so I'm gonna hang on to that one. Then I got a palette here that I'm gonna part ways with. This is the Nikak New York, I think it's called. This is their quad eyeshadow palette. This one, again, I had gotten the first time around that I had Ipsy, the regular bag, like 2.5 years ago, possibly a little bit longer. And I mean, at the time, it was one of those that was really fun for me. I love to use these for all over the lid colors, but I think it's time to part ways with her. I've had her for quite a little bit of a time, and I've just completely stopped reaching for that palette, so I think it's time to say goodbye. All right, and then we just got 2 left. So let's start with this one. This is the L'Oreal Paradise Enchanted. This is the peach scented one. And I love the color story of this one. I think it's very sweet with the peachy pinks, the golds, the browns in it. I just really like this one. And I think the overall quality of this palette was really good. The only ones that had a little bit of issue with were these 2 lighter ones. I just don't think they want to show up on me. I think they're a little too light. But the rest of the shadows were really nice. So this is definitely one I want to hang on to. I mean, L'Oreal definitely stepped up the game with that one. Lastly, the palette we got is by Maybelline, the Matte Bar. And I mean, it says it in the name, right up my alley. All of these shades are matte. That is personally my favorite formula. And I was so surprised by the quality of these shadows. I mean, you dip into it and it's instant pigment, which is how it should be. I mean, that is the new standard for all drugstore makeup. I think a lot of them have been slacking for a long time, you know. It's one of those things you gotta really build it up, and I came to the realization that they can do it, they just, some brands choose not to, or they chose not to in the past, and have decided to all of a sudden start coming through with that pigment, because this was a really nice palette with the pigment. And I mean, the color story is totally me, so this one I'm gonna hang on to. But oh man, that was it, you guys. Holy moly. It's like this drawer is empty. How many did I get rid of? Let's count it out here. I had 49? Did I miscount in the beginning? Somehow I always seem to miscount. Oh goodness, because I have 23 inside the drawer here that I'm keeping, 26 that I am parting ways with. I got rid of just about 55% of my collection. I think that is huge. That is a really big improvement for this drawer. But that is now it for my eyeshadow palette declutter. If you guys did not see the high-end version, I'll put a little boop up to that one so you can check that one out too. But eyeshadows are done. What do you guys want to see next? Do you want to see some bronzer? Hold on, let me flip you guys around. So eyeshadows are done. Do you guys want to see a foundation and powder declutter? Because holy moly, this is all foundation and powder. Jeez. And then I got my lippy drawer. Oh man, that's gonna need a declutter. Got my skincare drawer. Let's not even pay attention to that. Concealers, bronzers, and then we got a little bit of highlight and a little bit of blush in this drawer. So let me know what you guys want to see decluttered next, and I can definitely do so. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed my drugstore eyeshadow declutter. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell button. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!